call I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Susie.
Mr. Emma?
Here.
Mr. Sundell? Mrs. Purple? Here. Mrs. West? Here. Mr. Holt?
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Here.
Mr. Rossi? Mrs. Clayton? Here. Mr. Weed?
Here. 1.3 approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
So let's go.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. 1.4, board matter in executive session on Monday, August 6th, 2025, and August 18th, 2025, following the committee meetings for confidential student information, legal, security, and personnel matters. The board also met prior to this meeting in executive session for personnel matters. 1.5, recognition of students. We have a whole bunch of special people. I'd like to recognize our students and staff, and I know we have our track team from the spring, and also the football coach, so I don't know who's leading this.
I'm going to let our new athletic director come forward, and he has his things right here, and then he's going to make some introductions and take care of this for us.
Thank you for giving me this outstanding honor to recognize these three coaches. Since I've been here, I've just been super impressed with Coach Harbaugh and then the Coach A and Coach T. I guess that's how they like to be called. So, I want to talk first about Coach Harbaugh. His football coaching career spans over 48 years, 28 as an assistant, 20 as a head. 4 years after retiring at Lancaster Catholic, Harbaugh took over a struggling program here at Schuylkill Valley and quickly took us to the top in Section 5 of the Lancaster-Lebanon League. The Panthers shared the title in 2023, and they won it outright in 2024. Schuylkill Valley had never won or shared a football title of any sort before 2023. He kind of has too many accomplishments to talk about in a meeting like this, so we're going to skip all over those. Just not enough time. But just in the short time that I've gotten to know Coach Harbaugh, I've just been really impressed about the level of professionalism his program shows. And a couple weeks back, me and him pulled in a struggling kid, and I was just really impressed at the way he cares about every individual on his team, and the compassion he showed to this kid that he doesn't have a great family life, this kid, and kind of told him that, hey, this is a family that you can count on, and I was just really impressed with the meeting and how that went, and from that meeting I could really tell that he's very deserving of being Coach Harbaugh was inducted into the Hall of Fame, into the Pennsylvania Scholastic Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So, Coach Harbaugh, if you want to come up.
He wears the ring.
I'm asking him if he wore the ring. Well, that's not going to help us in here. Do you want to say anything?
Thank you for the recognition. I know things didn't turn out the way you want to on Friday night, but that's right. You know, you have to in sports you have to have a quick memory of wins and losses. So our kids have put that game faster. We're looking forward to the next nine games and 9-game win streak. So our kids are all fired up for Thursday night at Danny Boone, and hopefully everybody can be out there. It's going to be a good Labor Day weekend for us. And our kids are just, you know, they're, after looking film, you know, you're not as good as you think you are. And some of our kids do some really nice things. I was proud of them, especially our young kids. So we had a nice heart talk today, and they had good practice, and we have 2 more days. We're still a week, but we're going to give it best goes for the next 9 games. I can tell you that. We're not going to get up. You know, these kids, we're changing the culture. These kids want to play football. So thank you again for the recognition. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
I think the athletic director spoke of more than the football team on Friday night. So, our next one, Coach A and Coach T. When I interviewed for the position the day I came, they were having track practice out there, and I didn't know it was track practice because there was like 200 kids out there, and that would be like my whole school at Wyoming. So I was like, what's going on out here? What is this group, you know? And they're like, that's the track team. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And after meeting Coach A and Coach T and all the assistant coaches, you can also tell the level of dedication and passion that they both have. It's been super impressive to see them work this summer with kids individually in track, and I just haven't seen that before from a track program, and that's why they've had so much success and are winning state championships. And this past season, we were the 2025 girls track and field coach of the years for Berks County. So just want to recognize them and their coaching staff as well, because it takes a team to get that done. And so if you guys want to come up, we'd like to recognize you.
Moving on to 1/6 presentations. We have a presentation for the 2025 general obligation bond resolution. See, we moved it to the front.
Good evening, everybody. Lauren Stadel from Raymond James, Zach Williams from PFM. Nice to see you all again. I think the last time we were here was back in June. So I hope you all had a nice summer. Zach is going to go over the numbers, which we've updated, and I'm going to pass out. And then after he does that, I'll talk a little bit about the resolution that you'll all be considering this evening and maybe some of the funding as well. So thanks for having us.
Okay, great. Yeah, Zach Williams from BFM. So, as Lauren hands these out, when we were here back in June, we ran some numbers. At the time, the project was about $15 million, which is the estimate. Now, we're not going to know exactly what it's going to be until you get bids back. That's supposed to be early in 26. Okay, so we're kind of setting everything up, not knowing exactly how much you're going to borrow, but we're creating a box that's going to help this borrowing fit inside by passing this resolution tonight. So when you look at the numbers, in columns 1 and 2 in the blue, you can see what your existing debt service is if you do nothing. Okay, and if you remember, we talked about how when you look down column 2, your debt service kind of runs at about 3.15 million for a year or two, and then in the 28 year, it drops down to that 2.46 number. Right, so that's the big debt drop off that we had built in a few years ago. So then take the new project. Okay, we're assuming right now that the new project's going to be about $17.5 million. Again, to be determined. But if you borrowed $17.5 million at today's rates, and leave a little bit of cushion in these numbers, when you look at column 3, you can see what the new debt service associated with the project would be. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add columns 2 and 3 together to get what your new run rate would be, which would be in your budget. Right? So the debt's going to go from about $3,150,000 up to about $3,395,000. Let's call it when you look in column 5 in those out years. All right. So column 4, the capitalized interest column, we discussed this a little bit before too. What we're going to do for those first 2 budget years, in order to give you some extra time to phase this into your debt service budget, we're going to use what's called capitalized interest to minimize those first 2 payments. So over the 2 years of budget, and then go from column 2 to column 5, which again is to get to that bogey of about just about $3.4 million on the project also. So. Any questions about that, Lauren? I don't know if you want to add anything, or Kristen.
No, I don't think so. I think it's important to kind of point out, and you may have looked at the resolution already and seen a number of $23.5 million, which is obviously significantly greater than the $17.5 that Zach just reviewed. But the reason that that number is kind of inflated a bit over the expected borrowing amount is partly because of that capitalized interest. So we're trying to get you $17.5 million of proceeds, construction proceeds from this bond issue. On top of that, we're going to be borrowing that capitalized interest for the first 2 years. So that's pushing us close to $19 million just to get kind of everything done that we need to. On top of that, then, because the way the resolution is structured, we want to give ourselves the most flexibility so that if you do pass the resolution this evening, that we don't need to come back and say, hey, the bids came in $350,000 higher than we wanted to, and so we need to scrap this resolution and do a whole new one, and now we've got to wait another 30 days to the next board meeting, or whatever the case may be. We want to bake in as much flexibility as possible so that come bid opening, if we like where we're at and we're ready to proceed, then we can go ahead and get the money locked up and the interest rates locked up and have no more risk either on the project side, on the bidding side, or on the interest market side. So that's kind of the long and short of why it's 23.5. But before I do resolution, any other questions as it relates to the numbers?
The interest rate that's listed here, I know we hit the rock bottom years ago, and the perfect storm of whatever, 1.07, whatever. What's your confidence level that that's going to be in that range? Like, are you seeing much volatility in the interest rates?
I think we're seeing a lot less volatility now over the last couple months than we were seeing for the first 2 quarters of the year. And if we had an interest rate here for you tonight, you'd see that rates are probably 20 to 30 basis points lower now than they were back in June. So we're moving in the right direction. We're still building contingency just
I
because
understand, I
we
understand.
like, a little bit of cushion to be able to sleep at night. But I think that the likelihood of a Fed cut is more likely now than it was 3 months ago. I think they're talking at least 2 cuts now this year, whereas back when we were here in June, I think it was maybe 1.
Right.
So I think people think interest rates are going to start coming down, and the labor numbers that we see kind of keep pointing in that direction. And so that's why we like to have these resolutions done and on the shelf, so that once we get to a point where we know how much the project is going to cost, we can move quickly if we do see market movement, and we don't need to wait for another school board meeting to get all of this done and then go out and lock up the bonds.
Right, we had that before. When
Yeah.
we had the other one, we had it, and then our execution of all that was like, it was almost like the limbo, like how low can we go?
Right.
And we hit the wall. And so, I mean, for some of the board members, they remember the low number, but that was just so historical low, 4-year low, so we get that. So I just didn't know the confidence level because you're watching it and you're watching some, I guess I'll use the word choppiness
Yes,
out there.
a lot less now.
Still shopping.
Okay.
It's like a 450 fixed rate for 20 years. I mean, that's still good, and that kind of gets back to the 30-year average, right? You look over the last 30 years, we've already won. We have great timing. We're not in that kind of market anymore. We're back to more of the loans. So, but still, 450 over 20 years is a little higher than what we're saying.
Yep.
Yes. No.
40.
About 48 or 48 million. And it is within the realm of what it is in the realm of what we do in setting 1% aside every year for a 1% reserve. And you've got a couple of years to get there too, since because of this capitalized interest, that's another benefit of it. It allows us that runway to build that in over your budget over a couple of years if you need to. If you can do it next year, great. But it does give you that flexibility to take that a little bit slower over time. So if we did just pay it outright next year and the following year, we could potentially wipe out that 1.3 million. Yes. Now we need to know that at the front end of the borrowing. So kind of once it's borrowed and funded, it's sort of already baked in. But the money could be used. I mean, we can either set up a legitimate or a full-fledged capitalized interest fund with your paying agent on the bonds, or it can just be additional cash that's set aside that can be used if necessary to pay those interest payments. And if not, it would remain in the project fund and could be used for other capital expenditures of the district. So maybe other routine capital that you were intending to have projects for in fiscal 26 and fiscal 27 could come out of that this bond fund instead if you didn't need to pay the interest expense out of that fund, if that makes sense. So could we set it up so that we have that flexibility? Yeah. Definitely.
It doesn't fall for capital projects.
Correct.
Either this one or other.
And the 23.5 million that we're proposing to have open with the resolution. If the project were to go over that, because we don't have it yet, what does our budget hold? position look like if we need more from those funds? So the intention, timing-wise, is to wait until we have bids in to actually go ahead and issue the bonds. Unless some other unforeseen circumstance happens where interest rates drop significantly for some reason, and we feel like, hey, it's a really great time to borrow now, even though we don't have bids in yet. That's kind of the only factor I would see that would cause us to want to maybe flip-flop the order of things. And in that event, we would be in a position where we have to go out and potentially do another bond issue. So that's why we want to wait until we have bids. So if the bids come in and you need more than $23.5 million, then you're going to see us back here. You're going to see these schedules again, and my guess is you'll want to revisit maybe the project in general at that point in time. So the resolution does not marry you or behold you to doing the project. It is just a filing with the state that gives the financing team the most flexibility that if we can hit all these parameters that we are talking about this evening and you give us the green light, we can go ahead and get in the market and do it. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. So speaking to the resolution, it's a pretty dense document, so whether or not you read it over the weekend, I don't know, but really it just lays out the several facts that we're going to live within when we ultimately go ahead and do the bond issue. It says that the district will continue to set aside in your budget every year funds to pay debt service. It states that the district is pledging its full faith, credit, and taxing power in order to pay those bonds. And so those are the covenants that bondholders want to see in order to have a level of comfort that you will actually repay your debt. And then it allows really the financing team to go out and market the bonds at a time that we can all agree upon is a suitable time, and that you will pay those semi-annual payments timely, get them to your paying agent, who will then distribute that money that you send to them out to bondholders, so that's not something the district has to go and cut down bondholders wherever they may be. And at the end of the day, Zach and I, when we go out and we sell the district's bonds, we have to live within all of those covenants and stated principal amounts and interest rates that are set forth within the resolution. If, in fact, and knocking on wood and everything, that bids come in where we want them to be or even lower, there's probably going to be an amount of this authorizing resolution that would still remain outstanding after we issued the bonds. We would then go back to DCED and kind of tell them to wipe that remaining debt off the books and give them the updated, hey, here's how much we actually borrowed, so that the state's records are accurate with how much debt the district actually has outstanding. So that's kind of something that's done after the fact, but it's kind of why this is really just a blanket authorization that we then kind of firm up with the state after the fact. So any questions on the resolution itself or anything else Zach and I can answer, we are happy to stick around if you'd like us to until later in the agenda when you intend to vote on it, or we can also be on our way if you want us to. So that's the will of the board. I think we've ticked out another year and a half from our last go around from our June update, just because of the project scope increase and the estimated cost. You bet. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, even though this might look long, if you're under 20 years, it's like the sport debt, and a lot of debt goes out for 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say 30 years, a lot of. Thank you. Would the board like would the board like for them to remain, or can they take a call, or do we have all of those questions and concerns answered? Here, Kelly, Frank, everything from.
once we have the vote this evening.
Okay, then great, thanks.
Thank you for your
And,
effort.
you probably, your solicitor probably knows this, but, debt proceedings are required to be roll call votes. Just want to make
Yep.
sure that that's part of the, resolution. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So moving on, 2.0, reports of officers and board representatives, 2.1, President, I'm going to pass for tonight, 2.2, Secretary,
No report.
2.3, Berks County IU Board, Linda,
I do have a few things. We did not have a meeting in July, so our August meeting was pretty busy on Thursday night. I would like to share that the VCIU Learning Center for our Head Start classrooms is opening in the Goggle Work complex. There will be 2 classrooms and some other rooms in that building, and there's going to be an open house on Wednesday, September 17th, and I plan to attend that. Also, on Thursday night, we recognized Mr. Jim Boskov as the 2025 BCIU Outstanding Community Partner. Mr. Boskov is now our 11th BCIU Outstanding Community Partner, and he is the chairman and CEO of Boskov's and chairman of our city Reading, and he has been very instrumental in getting this classroom up and running at the Goggle Work, and he's been an education champion for years, and his late wife was a Head Start teacher for the IU 40-some years ago, so it was nice to have Mr. Bosco there and be recognized by the IU. The IU did have its start of the year for the administrators, all our administrators. I'm assuming we have administrators here at the administrative meeting. I couldn't find anybody in the picture, but and there was a speaker there, Mr. Adolph Brown, the world's greatest educator. So, I was not at that, so I hope it was well appreciated by all the administrators. And the IU earned the National Top Workplace Recognition Award. There were 16 of these across the United States, and our IU was one of the groups that got that award. And we also had 2 Camp Connects this summer for children who experienced a death in their family, and 23 children across the state attended one or the other of these camps, and it was well attended this year and appreciated by the families. So, and then we also got a copy of the IU Start of the Year report, and their logo for this year is Aspire, Adapt, and Advance. And we got a copy of all the departments at the IU and their priorities for the 25-26 school year. And if you saw what everybody planned to do this year in their department, it is quite an amount of work that they plan to get done this year. So I give those people at the IU a lot of credit for doing a lot for the students in our county who benefit from early intervention, early childhood, alternative education, busing, lots of different things that the IU does for our students. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Linda. 2.4, Berks Career and Technical Center. We did not have a July meeting, but we will have our first meeting here in August. We had an officers meeting tonight at 5 o'clock. Couple of things that are highlights is NOCTI scores for being competent, or competent or advanced. The East Campus, which is over in Ole, they hit I think a record 98.6% of their students hit the knocking scores for competent or advanced, and overall they had that score, and that was 92 over 92%. So our kids are having this great opportunity. Another thing that's coming up is that they've really realigned the enrollments. One of the things they're pulling out is the horticulture program is going to be, this is their last year. So I know they're looking at what they want to do, just because the enrollments were down. But I think we were averaging 1,700, 1,800, and they hit a target of 2,100 for kids enrolled this year. As of first day of school, they were at 2,072. So they were within 28. There are actually only 29 open seats. They're filling, so they're actually going back through the list again to see if there's any other opportunities. These would be kids who, wouldn't have gotten their first choice, but if they wanted a second choice to try to get. So we're already well on our way, because they looked, we had some gaps where they tried to move some of the enrollment around, so we had some openings that kids dropped out, but they would just have those gaps for all the years. So they also want to maintain a level set on our programs, so we didn't want to have, because there's multi-year programs, so that we didn't want to have, say, 30 kids in our first year and like only 8 kids in our senior year, or a gap coming behind. So they wanted to make sure that they have, 20, 20, 20, so that we have that filled. They also have opportunity to do this career camp they do over the summer, and I think it's about 240 kids that are prior to them going into Go Tech. If they were interested in the program, they can spend a week long and rotate through the programs, and so that's really cool. The thing that's crazy is that literally fills up within 8 or 10 days of when that opens. So as we get that, again, for next year, we'll try to get that posted for our kids, prior to the 10th grade, that if they'd be interested. So I'll make sure, like, for the high school, that we have that. Mrs. Rexrow tried, like, maybe for curriculum to say, try to get that, figure out the best way to announce that. So we'll work on that. I think that's it. A lot of awards. Our kids did, at BCCC had a lot of success. And so I will not steal anybody's thunder on that, but after Wednesday's meeting that has been announced, I'll bring back some, more information at the next month's meeting. The other exciting thing, and I think I'm allowed to share, but I'm going to go for it, is one of the judges from Shark Tank, who comes and judges projects, like people have a business plan, through coordinated with another organization. He's going to come to BCCC and look at 3 different presentations. So our kids are going to be presenting to one of the Shark Judge panelists. I will leave that name out, so at least I didn't say everything. But I think it's really exciting. So that was an offer that just came in the last 10 days. So I don't even know if all of our kids are aware. I know the administration is, but that's going to give them a chance to be judged and rated by the same people you see on TV on the Shark Tank and looking at proposals for business plans. And so we actually do that in our entrepreneur program, that they go out there and they've been highly successful, at regional, state level. So I'm sure when they find out, they'll be highly excited. So that's all I have for 2.4. 2.5, Tax Collection Committee. Nikki?
Not as exciting as the principal. I have no committee update. We'll meet at the end of the quarter.
Okay, 2.6, PA School Board Association Liaison, Brenda Welch.
2 things. The annual conference is coming up the week of October 19th to 21st. And also gotten several notifications on the Pennsylvania lawmakers are in no hurry to make a budget deal nearly 2 months after the deadline. And there is a reason for that because Pennsylvania doesn't shut down like other states do when we don't have a budget. Some other states like New Jersey shut down when they can't pay their bills, but our services through the state are still operating, and some things may not make their payments because they don't have the money to do it, but their services keep working. And I do bring this up because while we may not have a problem in this district, if it would keep going for a long period of time, maybe we will, but the IU will have a problem with payroll and things like that if there soon isn't a budget. And so the IU takes out a line of credit, and if necessary, they will dip into that, and then, of course, those payments have to be paid back when the money starts working. But in our state, Medicaid and Medicare distributions still keep going, and federal aid programs still keep going, and taxes and fees are being collected, so we do have money to pay our bills, we just don't have a budget. So it doesn't seem like they said September 1st might be the time period, but that's getting awfully close, and I haven't heard yet that there's, I don't know if you've heard that there's any movement towards that, but yeah, so some human services things are going to be having to get money somewhere, but they still have to keep doing their jobs. So it is detrimental not to have a budget, but the legislators are not, don't seem to be moving really fast on that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. 2.7, Schuylkill Valley Educational Foundation, also Linda.
I do have a report from Courtney Nine, and she said that the foundation was at in-service day, and they talked to teachers about payroll deductions, and she made connections for raffle items that are student handmade from the woodshop teachers at the middle and high school. That sounds kind of cool to me. They were at Meet the Teacher Night at the elementary school on Tuesday, and they'll be at the high school for the high school Meet the Teacher Night. They have new board members, which means now they have extra hands to do things throughout the year. They're meeting again in September to plan their fall outing, and they're getting things in line for the committee to help run the Red and Black event, which was really successful last year. So I hope we have even more people attend that. And she wanted to make sure that I mentioned that they have 3 $500 grants, one for each building, available for teachers to apply for. So if the teachers hear that, or the administrators want to take that back, if they hadn't heard that before, there's money from the foundation to use. So I thank Courtney for that. That's it.
Thank you, Linda. 3.0, persons who wish to address the board. Anybody who wishes to address the board will have 3 minutes to state their questions or concerns. Please state your name and where you live, and if you have a written statement, the board will appreciate receiving a copy. Per policy 903, at the conclusion of your 3 minutes, we will move to the next speaker right under the agenda. Lucifer.
Louis Drucker, Byrne Township. Since artificial intelligence is here to stay, it might be useful to continue the brief discussion which was had at the end of the July board meeting. According to a Gallup survey, nearly 2/3 of teachers used AI this past school year, saving approximately 6 hours per week. However, the poll also found that 28% of the teachers still oppose AI tools in the classroom. Although AI is here to stay, it's never going to mean that students are going to be taught by AI or that teachers are going to take a back seat in the classroom. But teachers are going to experiment to see how they can integrate AI and augment their teaching activities rather than replacing them. Most teachers who use AI say they help improve the quality of their work according to the Gallup poll. For example, 61% said they received better insights about student learning or achievement data, while an additional 57% said the tools help improve student feedback. It is worthwhile noting that more teachers agree on AI's risks for students as opposed to its opportunities. Although 1/3 agreed AI tools would increase student grades, motivation, preparation for future jobs, and engagement in class, 57% said AI would decrease critical thinking, and almost half said it would decrease student perseverance and problem-solving ability, building meaningful relationships, and resilience in overcoming challenges. Of course, the bottom line is whether AI will help students learn. Most researchers agree that it is really hard to know due to the dearth of quality research on its efficacy. But the stakes are high. A generation of students is learning what it means to coexist and depend on a powerful, often opaque technology and how to use it productively, responsibly, and ethically, somewhat mirroring what we experience with computers. It will probably be years before we are able to determine the value of AI, but the question is, what do we do in the meantime? Thank you.
Thank you. The last speaker listed is Carol Lehman.
Carol Williams, Burn Township. I just have a few questions tonight. With an end date of November 12th for Dr. Casper and the fact that she was taking on a job at Kutztown University, how will that time be spent between having both jobs, and who will be doing the day-to-day operations here? In regard to the disposal of old textbooks, emphasis on old as in outdated and unusable, past policy was that the teachers themselves purged their classrooms of old, outdated material, inventoried it, so it was voted on by the board, and it was in storage pending if it was truly to be discarded or to be sold or donated. To have other people go through classrooms, decide what was to be taken, which apparently also included books that still to be used in current curriculum, as well as personal property books, and then throw them in the dumpster is unacceptable and quite honestly a disgrace. Also, what is with the lax dress code this season? Like, why now? Why was that put in place during this transition time? And where did that director come from? Also, do you feel you have given adequate training to the staff for the New Earth Language Arts program? This was a big investment, and how much investment did we put into training for a program that is basically a framework program? And lastly, the change of the semester block scheduling at the middle school. What will be the ramifications of only having certain classes the first half of the year and then taking standardized testing at the end of the year when they haven't had that subject for months? Again, what was the justification of this decision? Thank you.
Carol, I'll take the dress code. I think the dress code was causing more trouble than it was worth, in that teachers were trying to enforce a dress code that was imaginary, that they thought was in place when it actually wasn't. My daughter being victim of that a couple of times. And when asked why she was dress coded and the reason given, and then you pointed that, oh, I didn't realize that wasn't part of the code. Well, you embarrassed a kid in front of an entire classroom for something that didn't exist. So stop it. Also, personally, I feel the dress code was kind of biased against the girls in the school, and which it's not their responsibility to make sure that the other half of the school is able to compensate. It's not their responsibility. Each person has to be able to control themselves and focus on what needs to be focused on. And excuse or make an excuse for half of the population because of what somebody may or may not be wearing is ridiculous. So I, for one, am glad that it's been relaxed, and I think it was too much of a distraction. So that's my opinion.
Okay. So we'll move on. So thank you for your question. As you know, typically the board, under advice from your solicitor, we're not going to make a statement, and you know that that's true. You can shake your head all you want, but no, you did not. Okay. But anyway, I guess you weren't on YouTube to have that proof or not. So we'll move on to 4.0 for 4.1 solicitors report.
Just very briefly, that was a very comprehensive presentation regarding the bond issue. Fox, Rothschild, just about the board is aware, not myself, because it is a language I don't speak fluently, but several of my colleagues did work and prepare the actual resolution that is on the agenda for the board's approval. We'll continue to work with the district going forward through this entire process, assisting with due diligence, settlement, document preparation, etc. So just so that the board knew that Fox was involved in drafting that beautiful 29-page document that you had to review. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. 4.2 PFBA election. The board is requesting to consider and recommend the election of officers for the Pennsylvania School Boards Association for the following positions: 2026 President-elect Holly Arnold, Tunkahonic Area School District, 1-year term. 2026 Vice President, Hanoi Sharon City School District, 1 year. 26-27 Section E3 Advisor Andrew Klein, Ole Valley School District, that's a 2-year position, and PSBA Insurance Trustees terms ends 12/31/2028. Kathy K. Swope, Roberta M. Market. You can choose up to 2 candidates, and we only have 2 for a 3-year term. So I'll entertain a motion to recommend.
Before you go on, there is an advisor for our area from Ole Valley that was not listed in this list, so we would have, that would have to be voted on.
I think there's one listed for Section E. I have a Section E advisor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay, you're right, sorry.
So we have a president-elect, a vice president, a Section E3 advisor, and then 2 PSBA insurance trustees. So I entertain a motion for those individuals.
So moved, Ralph.
Second,
Second, Copeland.
any discussion?
I'd just like to say it's nice to have somebody from Bucks County on our PSBA board, and somebody for our advisor that actually lives in the county for a change, so that's a good thing.
I agree. Hearing no other discussion, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. That passes 9-0. 4.3, any other old or new business for the board? 5.0, superintendent.
Just a few updates. I have should be over with you, Mr. Favors, couple of slides, but we're off to a good start for the beginning of the school year. I want to thank all the administrators and all of the people, custodians, food service, so many people, business office. We're in here this year, technology, helping get ready for school. And I want to thank all of the PTOs and the PTAs who helped with back to school nights. Great experience at the elementary and the middle school this year. Lots of fun things for students to do. And was really excited to see things grow. We got to the first day, and we had a great first day. I was out to see the students in the classrooms and to see each building, and I will tell you the work of the summer paid off, and thank you to Mrs. Rexroad. I know those math books came in late. We were waiting on that truck, but you got everything out and about, even with the delay. So what a great opportunity we had for our students. We had our new teacher induction, 3 days of new teacher induction. That was very exciting, and I think probably one of the most exciting and highly rated parts of new teacher induction is the bus ride. And you might say, why is the bus ride so exciting? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because where the bus ride stops, in the middle of the bus ride, which is at Plum Creek. And so the teachers had a great time, our new teachers, and enjoying some time together. At the beginning, to get to know each other, we spent some time with mentors, and then, of course, spending some time seeing our district on the bus, traveling throughout the district. So thanks to Esselman, the business office, for setting that up for our new teachers. We do appreciate all of those efforts. And I will say it was very, thank you,
it's great to see not only the teachers that were here, but how many of the teachers had such diverse interests. We always do a fun fact. Sometime you'll have to ask Mrs. Wallace what her fun fact is. And we get to learn so much about each other during that time. And while we all come from different places, we all have a lot in common, and that's the children that we serve. So great opportunity. Thank you to the administrators who were part of that and helped organize and get that set up. We do appreciate it. So you can see here, new teacher induction, the stop at Plum Creek, and all the work that went. I want to thank Susie and Mrs. Schnabel for all the work they did in getting everything ready. This cafeteria gets transformed into almost a banquet hall. Tables, tablecloths, all of the things that were purchased for new teachers. And it gave us a chance to do a little video. Mrs. Manser put together a video so that on the first day of staff, the new teachers all introduced themselves on video, which was also very fun. It's just a great 3 days, but a lot of work, and I want to thank everybody for helping us put that together. And from that, then we roll into teacher in-service days. We had a great opportunity to have welcome our teachers back this year. Kay's Margolis came, and they supported the breakfast for all of our staff. Sandwiches from Wawa, which evidently are a really big hit. Everybody loves that, coffee, orange juice, and so that was another great way to start the school year. And then we had all of the different, I won't say all, but a good portion of the mandated trainings that we have to do each year at the beginning of school. And that list, as we know, we work on it as superintendents and trying to speak to our legislators, it gets longer and longer every year. Not that all of them aren't important, because it is important, but trying to fit it in a time when we have everybody here is challenging, and so we dedicate a good portion of those teacher and service days to that, giving people time to be in their classrooms and to get their classrooms set up for back to school nights. But it was a wonderful start to the school year to get to see everybody together. We had presentations from many of the administrators who were a part of that technology, the business office talking about student activity funds, curriculum. We had de-escalation training. Dr. Keener did that. We had professional ethics training from Mrs. Rexroad. Some of the security trainings were at the beginning of the year. Discipline, a presentation on discipline. Mrs. Rivas was here with Mrs. Gutpring, and they did that for the entire staff. So trying to really help talk about some of the things that people are going to face in the first weeks of school. So thank you, all the teachers, for their efforts in those first days. If you've been around and seen the classrooms, they're quite amazing. Thank you to the board for the removal of the carpets, especially in those elementary classrooms. They look fabulous, and that couldn't be done without them.
I think it was also nice that the board was invited for a luncheon. Linda Lash and I attended. So I always encourage, I know a lot of the other board members have attended in the past, so I always encourage, it gives you an opportunity to meet these new teachers and hear, their background of where they're coming from. And, one of the ones that I'll leave her name out is a farm. She, lives on a farm. And so she was talking about all the different animals and everything else that she cares for. And then she comes in here to teach her kids. So it's always seeing the rest of their background and what makes them tick, is always important.
Yes, great opportunity to meet the new teachers for sure. Our PYEA is back in full swing for the school year, as you would imagine. They actually were at the leadership retreat for the kids. And if you know our PYEA group, very, very active. They start out early. They spend a lot of time throughout the year organizing events, raising money for the different causes. And so thank you for all their efforts. And our Schuylkill Valley FFA is on the move, as always. It's hard to believe. It's only been a couple of years that this program has been in existence, but they, again, were awarded from Berks County as the Student Environmental Organization of the Year. So they received an award for that. It was presented from the Berks County Conservation District, and they received a certificate of recognition from the Board of County Commissioners to honor them and to recognize that outstanding achievement. I know Mrs. Rexroad attended that event. We were all here in a board meeting, so the board had to be here, but again, just another opportunity for our students. Every time they go out, I can't be more amazed by the things that they do in the amount of time. And I want to thank Mrs. Charlotte for all her effort, and it is really creating a lot of excitement in the district. I want to also thank Mrs. Myers at the elementary school. She started doing some of these activities at the elementary school with the garden club and starting to get the elementary students involved in some of what's happening with our FFA program. So congratulations to our students and thank you for all of your efforts in that program. I don't know what I did, but there it went. Let me go back on here. Penn State, our FFA was also at Penn State Ag Progress Days. Also an exciting time. They were there with the county commissioners. Great pictures, but most of all, a chance for them to be out and for everybody to see our program and to see all the wonderful things our students are doing. And last but surely not least was our National Travel Basketball Association tournaments. The high school girls basketball team traveled to Myrtle Beach to compete in the national tournament. So an exciting time for them as they took their game on the road, and we're looking forward, of course, to seeing them play this year when they get into season. So thanks to the coaches and everybody for making that happen. Those things take a lot of effort and a lot of time, and we just appreciate you for doing that. And that concludes my report.
So moved, Emerald. Hold on. All right.
Thank you. 615, addendum employment extracurricular fall coaching positions. The board is requested to consider and approve the fall coaching salaries for the 25-26 school year. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Buckle.
Second.
Emerald.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes 9-0. 616, addendum extracurricular and co-curricular new and revised positions. The board is requesting to consider and recommend approval of the addition and revisions of the following extracurricular co-curricular positions as presented. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Brown.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? So the only discussion that I have on this as we go through, I know in the past that we had asked to look for participation rates of the co-curriculars and also when these events were occurring and the hours, because they're supposed to be being paid for off, after hours, not during the school year unless they were using an open period. And I just wanted to make sure as we now look to add more positions that we continue to make sure that the positions are meeting that. That we meet the needs of our kids, and we offer so many different things, but just trying to make sure that we also get some type of attendance or time committed by these teachers, since this is additional salary. So, I know we talked about that before. Maybe that's something that our building administrators can take a look at to provide, because we've talked about it in the past, and now we're adding additional positions that we take a look at. So I have a motion, I have a second for 616. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That passes 9-0. 617, addendum, resignation and release. Approves the resignation and confidential settlement agreement and release agreement 00025011738. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Buckle.
Second, Ross.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That passes 9-0. 618, addendum, employment, Highland. The board is requesting to consider approve Ms. Karen Highland, reading specialist, K-12 teacher, master's plus 42, step 22 at $103,533, effective being released from current assignment to fill the vacancy created by retirement. Entertain motions.
So moved, Lau.
Second.
Second, Buckle.
Any discussion?
Do we have any idea of how long it'll be till she gets there?
I do not know what her hold will be, but once the board, should the board approve this candidate this evening, then I would work with Dr. Hackman on those.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. 619, and the other old and new business. Hearing none, we'll move on to 7-0. 7-0, curriculum and technology. 7-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'll entertain a motion for those items to be consolidated.
So moved, Buckle.
Second, Donald. Thank you. Any discussion? I know we talked about a bunch of these, so that everybody understands this is, a lot of these are licensing agreements that we need to bring up in front of the board, and that's not something we always discussed in the past, and sometimes they were just approved. Hopefully you have to approve these types of licenses, so that's what we're doing tonight. So I understand we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items pass 9-0. 712, any other old or new business?
I do have one thing. I was just wondering if there's something that we can implement, maybe Mike could look into this for us, for an overall communication system. From what I'm hearing, other schools all have some sort of communication system that's not just dependent on, email or our social media. I mean, we have families out there that aren't on social media. My husband's not on social media at all. And a lot of our communication goes out on social media. We have emails and text messages and phone calls, but is there one consolidated place that we could put that information so that when somebody needs to get information, they go to that one place instead of having it dispersed from so many different areas?
I think part of the reason the dispersion is that sometimes people are only looking at one platform or a second platform. By us trying to maintain multiple platforms, that allows people who maybe only look at social media or maybe only look at the internet or get an email that, we try to hit them, across all the platforms.
But social media is a hit or miss thing. It could come up in your feed and it could not. So that's not a legitimate way to disseminate information. It's nice to have the posts that we put out there so that kids are recognized and things like that, but that's not a way to get things out.
But as you just mentioned, we are doing multiple avenues for that. And
I
so
understand.
what do
What
you,
I'm
what's your
asking,
solution?
what I'm asking is there one place that there's a one-stop shop that every parent knows I can go to this platform and this, like we have Sapphire and we have, you know, all of these things. Can we somehow incorporate all of the communications into that so that if I miss something, I can log into my Sapphire account and it's there? Or maybe it's not Sapphire, maybe it's something else, but if I miss something, I can log into it and see it here.
So what other schools, you say other schools have this?
I'm being told that like every other school has some kind of communication device that they're using. I don't know what they are, that's why I'm asking if we can look into it.
You mean like when a parent went in, it would say, hey, you have 3 notifications.
Yes.
And then you would look at that, and that would be all the district communications for the day.
Because we used to send out paper. We don't do that anymore, and I understand why. We want to save the trees. I'm not saying that we should send out paper in 2025, but there should be one central location that we can go. I mean, sometimes I miss emails. I get inundated with emails between work and school and personal and, you know, all the marketing that goes out to people, and I am guilty of delete because I, you know, get too many emails. So is there some place that I could go to say, this is everything that I need to know, and it's all right here at my fingertips? So can you just let us look at that, and then we'll come back and do a little presentation at the next board meeting on what some of those are. There are some ways to do that with, and there are some times where you can actually, through different software, go to one place, it disperses it all, but it does capture it. So you can log in one place, or if it's people that don't log in there, they're capturing the same thing on whichever mode they're using. So let us come back and
I know, I mean, through the years, I've had Seesaw, I've had Remind, I've had, you know, I'm on 8,000 different Q snaps. Like, there are so many things. If it could just all be consolidated, people wouldn't miss things. And I think that we have a big issue with communication. On my forms that got sent home, I put an arrow to make myself the primary instead of my husband, because I'm the one that needs to get all the communications before he does. He's out on the road, he's working, he, you know, can't do that. So, you know, if it can't be sent to both parents, there should be some central place that we can log into to get the information.
we'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to 8.0, Budget and Finance. We'll look at 8.1, Approval of Ratification of Bills, and 8.2, Equipment Removal. Looking to consolidate. Hearing no objection, I'll entertain a motion for 8.1 and 8.2. Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. 8.3, addendum, the FDSD 2025 COB resolution. The board is requesting to consider recommend approval of the Schuylkill Valley School District 2025 BOB resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds to provide financing for the planning, designing, constructing, equipping, and furnishing of a new athletic facility to be utilized as a field house. We had a presentation earlier. I'll entertain a motion. Okay. And a second.
Second, Crawford.
Susie, you have that? So this is a roll call vote.
And
Oh, is there any deliberation?
Dave, this is understood that if this doesn't go forward, we're not obligated.
Correct. That was part of the discussion that we had earlier.
And it's understood that by saying that we're potentially able to take out $23.5 million, that doesn't mean that we will take out $23.5 million. And is there going to be
a meeting of the board to discuss the field house, because I'm not on buildings and grounds, so I've not been involved in those conversations, and the numbers that I'm hearing are stifling, so I would like to be involved in those conversations.
I'd be happy to say that.
Any other discussion? Suzie, roll call?
Mrs. Sengi?
Yes.
Mr. Weed?
Yes.
Mr. Emerald?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderbilt?
Yes.
Mrs. Purple?
Yes.
Mrs. Flash?
Yes.
Mr. Mole?
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Lassie?
Yes.
At this time, so thank you. 8.4, approval of the final bill for Schuylkill Valley Education Center, also formerly known as the Berks County Youth Center, for 2024. This approves the issuance of the invoice for services rendered in the Schuylkill Valley Education Center, formerly Berks County Youth Center, for the 2024-2025 school year. I'll entertain a motion.
Bill moved last.
Seconded Butler?
Discussion.
Just for the public's knowledge, I think we should explain what we're doing here.
I'd be happy to do that. The board had, when we first started on this journey, asked us to put together an estimate of what the cost would be for the youth center, and so we did our due diligence, and at that time really did not have a good handle on how many students we would be serving or what all of those resources would be needed. But we did our best to put that list together. In addition to that, we did not know how the billing would go, how many people would be timely in their payments, or what the challenges would be. As we went through that, the initial cost that we put together was approximately $767,000 for $767,401 approximately, and that included the addition of 2 general education teachers at the Schuylkill Valley Middle School, because at that time we thought that the age span might have students in our school at the middle school increasing an already larger class size. So we added the 2 teachers to make sure that our class size was low at the middle school. And that's how we got to the $700,000, along with the Lincoln Learning Solutions, all the other technology startup costs, supply costs, personnel costs, transportation costs, and special education costs. We did back out and give a credit because we did not have students at the middle school. We took that off the bill and off the $700,000 estimate, as did we with the 9-passenger van that we thought we would have to rent at $264 a day to transport students. The transportation was different and didn't require that, so we credited that from that initial estimate. And right now, we still have just a few more costs to put together with special education and shared transportation costs. But right now, before we add those 2 things, the bill would be $245,868, and that would include the amount that we have received in billing through Run from the Center this year, which has been about just over about $150,000. So once we have those final special education numbers and the final shared transportation numbers, we would put that together, show it to the board one more time, and then send that off.
So the cost thrust upon us from the county without our input would basically equate to our debt service increase for the field house.
Are you asking me the question?
That's a statement.
I think he's making a statement.
Yes, this is statement. Just so everybody knows
I think it was
what's going on.
rhetorical, but yes.
And I think that the problem that we've had is, unfortunately geographically, we have the prison We have the, Schuylkill Valley, the Education Center or the Youth Center. There also, they were looking at a detention center, so a third opportunity, third whatever leg on the stool that the county has, just because we're in the county facilities are here, looking for reimbursement. They were coming back saying, hey, everybody wants to come here, it's going to be 40 people. So you have to gear up for 40 people because we have a requirement to educate anybody who's in these facilities and then go back and seek reimbursement. And so we did due diligence of trying to maintain lower costs and not build a whole structure up for people who may or may not be here. But at the same time, is whether you have one or you have 40, you still need to have a system in place. You still have to have, a teacher in place and some administrators. So this goes back to, the issue that we've had with the county and the county saying, hey, no, it's whatever, that we need to actually now come back with refined numbers, and that's where we've asked Dr. Tashner and Mrs. Wallace to come up with better numbers that basically deduct everything out. They still won't probably like it, but the same token is we've given them all the credit we can, and I think like when we took out the teachers out of the bill, but did we hire those teachers?
We did.
So we're still eating those two teachers' salaries, even though we're not billing the county because we still are paying that expense. So again, Mr. Rossi, you can say that also goes towards that difference as well, is that we're paying for that, but we're not charging them because we're not utilizing them. So, this is just part of the unfortunate situation of having the county facilities and within our geographic boundaries, and state code says that we have to supply education to anybody who's within our boundaries. So any other discussion on these four? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. 8-5. Any other old or new business? Hearing none, moving on to 9-0, buildings and grounds. We have one item, 9-1, mainline commercial poles that we discussed at our committee meeting. I will entertain a motion.
So moved, Purple.
Second. Susan, pick one. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes 9-0. We have one addendum, 9-2 addendum, additional fire evacuation maps. Schuylkill Valley Elementary School, the board is requesting to consider and recommend approval of the quote from building maps for illustration changes to existing maps for 2 additional fire evacuation maps for classrooms at Schuylkill Valley Elementary School in the amount of $120. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Purple.
Second. Really slow their time. So, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. 9-3, any other old or new business for buildings and grounds? Hearing none, moving on to 10-0, student services and activities. We have 3 items that we previously discussed, 10-1, 10-2, and 10-3. I'll entertain a motion. Consolidation.
So moved, Purple.
Second.
Camera.
Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion passes 0. We have a couple of addendum items. Stick and Clipper. 10-4 addendum, Acorns Oaks Agreement for Educational Psychology Services. That approves the agreement with Acorns Oaks for Educational Psychology Services for the 25-26 school year, subject to review and approval by the solicitor. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Wells.
Second.
Second, Purple.
Discussion.
Just a note, I've asked to work with Spolster on this. We're using, last year we were using their agreement. Ours is a little bit more extensive and talks about things such as contractor emails and some of the things that we need, especially in light of special education. And so we are tightening those things up. And then we did use this contractor last year, and they did do a very good job for us.
With the name that unique, I kind of remembered it. Any other discussion for 10-4? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion passes 9-0. 10-5 addendum, LinkedIn literacy agreement. Approves the agreement with Schuylkill Valley School District and LinkedIn Literacy LLC for August 21st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. To provide confidential student services at a rate of $130 per hour, prorated for actual work completed, pending review and approval of the solicitor. I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved, Purple.
Second.
Emma.
Thank you. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote as 10-5. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. Two more. 10-6. Addendum agreement on onward search. Approves the master agreement specific and statement of work between SBSD and onward search for confidential student services, subject review and approval by the solicitor. Entertain a motion, please.
So moved, Purple.
Second.
Wells.
Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. Last one. 10-7. Addendum, School Psychology Services approves the client assignment confirmation with Salient for School Psychologist Services, subject to review and approval of the solicitor. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Purple.
Second.
Emma.
Thank you. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes 9-0. Any other old or new business? Hearing none. 11-0. Other business to the order. Hearing none. 12-0. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Purple.
Second. For Donald. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're adjourned.